Well, good evening. The Who's today were on at Wyong. The track was dead, and that was a fair reading. We had some rain overnight and a bit in the morning, but it didn't rain there during the day. If it did, it was very, very light and unnoticeable. The rail was 2 metres out from the 1350 to the 210, where the cutaway came into play, and most of the winners today, well, nearly all of the winners, were up near the lead, and some of them close to the fence. There was one winner in race 6 that came from third last, but it never went around a horse. It used the cutaway when they turned for home, after turning for home, and as I say, never went around a horse. Sailing ground near the fence and up near the lead was the place to be. If you got trapped wide, it made it a lot harder. The first race, well, that could have been the difference between first and second, or maybe not. The winner here, Campania, started favourite. We put it up $3.50, got out to $4, back into $3.50, extremely well back. The pros found it, of course, and it was able to keep on hunting through on the inside, not leading. Nearly crossing it was Power Flow out wide. No, it was Lucky News, ridden by Jay Ford, but couldn't cross it, and sat that half a length in front of it coming to the turn. And by the time they turned for home, it had enough, and the favourite Campania was able to get through and regain the lead and win by a length. Running second was Systems, who was very easy in the betting and went from $4.60 out to $7. It got trapped 3 wide most of the way, so its run was fairly good. And coming from a little bit back in the field was Power Flow, having its first start. It was the second favourite. We put it up safely at $4, got out to $5.50, back into 5 late, and it was only ran third, beaten 1.1 lengths. As I say, the favourite won it in the marketplace. On the screen it said 119%. In the marketplace there was only 108. But gee whiz, there are a lot of runners in that race that were unlayable. They just didn't have prices. And the favourite won it, and it was very well backed. It was a bad start for the captains, and it got worse. In the second race, there was 112.7 on the screen, but only 102 in the marketplace. And similarly to the first, there were lots of runners in this race that were unlayable. Lots of these runners started a lot longer on my board than the SP showed. And again, it was won by the favourite, Furious Jet, and very similar to the first, was able to find the lead, ridden by Father Schofield, and he was able to hold that position all the way to the winning post. When they turned for home, he got a break, and it was a big enough break. Maybe he got a length, a little bit more on them, and he was able to hold off Tableau, who was sat midfield and trapped 3 wide in the run. It was very well back, Tableau. Well, going back to the favourite, Furious Jet, we put it up $4, got out to $4.60. It was reached for very quickly, and but came into $3.60 at one stage, but got back out to $4 late, and it was extremely well backed. Likewise, the second horse, Tableau, it was resuming from a spell today, and repeating myself, but it was trapped 3 wide, and I think the alley beat it. It was only beaten 0.4 of a length, and running, and it was, as I say, was wide all the way. And running third in the race, who was in a 1-1 position, was the top weight, Baroncello. It was fairly easy in the market, although there was a little bit of money for it at $7. It opened up 5, got out to 7, back into $6.50. And Tableau, going back to it, we put it up $7, got out to $8, but it was back into $6. Extremely well backed. They ran first, second, and third. Down, running fourth in the race was Cosmo King. There was a bit of money for it, around $10. Laid 2,200 a couple of times. Down near the bottom, Zolaro. It was very hard to lay Zolaro. Went up 5-2, very safe off a trial, and it got out to $5.50. It ran fifth. They were the 5 in the market, and they ran first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, with the Avery getting the cash. Not very good for the captains. Race 3, here we saw another Avery win in the form of Toffler, the top weight, and I think the alley was a big help to this horse. There was a bit of pace up front. Zanity drew the extreme outside alley, drew 13 alley, and it crossed and found the bunny on the fence, and coming across and sitting on its outside using a good bit of petrol in the run was Tyan, number 13, ridden by K. May. And as I say, there was a bit of petrol used on it. It did stick on very well. It finished up running third. It wasn't a bad effort for a 60 to 1 chance. And this favourite, if you gave $1.75, it was laid on by the pros, which is exactly what happened. It drew barrier 1. It did have 60 kilos in this maiden, 6 kilos over the limit, and it was well, a plugging win. That's all you could say. It was a plugging win. The alley, Corey Brown was able to off the inside alley barrier 1, was able to sit in about 5th or 6th position on the fence. And as I say, there was always plenty of pace on up in front. They used a good bit of petrol, and he was able to ease off their heels and get a split turning for home, and ridden right out. It won by 1 length, and it was another length away to the runner that sat outside the lead tee and who stuck on very well, as I said. And it was another 4.7 lengths away to the 4th horse. The second favourite in that race, Cloud Valley, it got trapped wide in the run. It was labelled at one stage at $6, opened up $3.50, opened up $4 and got out to $6 taken, but back out to $6 towards the end of betting. They were very wide, bar a few runners in this race. There was one runner, Mac the Knife. It was, wow, I laid 5,200 at one stage. It was $26 into $18, and the one below it, Nilodi, a nice man asked me for 100,000 to 1,000, and I had to explain to him, would it be all right if I just bet him 10,000 or 100 at this stage of the betting? It was only early, and he said he quite understood, which was very nice of him. And it started about 80 or so to 1, and I think it finished back in the field. I finished about midfield, Nilodi, and Mac the Knife I think finished last. But anyway, the captains, we did our cash on this race with the favourite, $1.75 laid on by the pros. This runner will be flat out winning another race. It is very limited Toffler, so I wouldn't be. If you're back to today, I think you won't be putting anything on it next start or ever again. We get to now. What did they in the? Well, I think I told you. On the screen in that race, it said 113.5 in race 3, but there was only 106 in the marketplace, a lot less. And I think I did tell you that Gold Valley, the second pick, well, it got trapped. I told you the fluctuations, but it got trapped 3 wide in the run and pulled up with the heart fibrillation, whatever they call it, and it has to trial again, a trial before it starts again. Race 4. This was won by a runner that got out of the market but always firm. Talking about Fort Sumter, it always had control of the race. It led early, then handed up the lead to Doomsman, who was very easy in the betting. But when he handed up the lead, terrific Tommy Berry, he sat outside Doomsman. As I say, had control when they turned for home, got past Doomsman very quickly and went on and won by 1.8 lengths. When I say it was very firm in the betting, it opened up $3.50. It was $4.80 at the death, but it was laid on the way out. You could lay it at $4 at one stage and $4.60, but for some reason it did start at $4.80. Runners that were backed in this race, the Big IM was very well backed, went up $7, got out to $8.50, back into $5.50. Mossman Flyer went from $4 out to $4.20, back into $4. Shillingstone, a bit hard to lay, $3.50 out to $5.50. And unfortunately it bled, so we won't be seeing it for 3 months or so. Seagull was well back from $12. It opened up 12, got out to 15, back into 11. Departed never had a name, 15 or 16 out to 26. Doomsman likewise never had a price, $5 out to $9. Told you about the winner. And Lee Fu, I laid 40 lemons at one stage, was 20 out to 40, back into 30. And the winner was far too good. Race 5, now on the screen, it didn't take us too long. On the screen, there was only 99.9, but in the marketplace, only 92%. This was no good, and winning the race was the opening favourite. Was no good percentage-wise, but they left us with the Avery. They said, no, you can have that one for yourself, Sastruga. It went up. Well, when I say that, I'm being a bit facetious, I suppose. It went up $2.50. It got out to $3.50. It was taken. $3.50 was taken into $3.30 at one stage. Fairly hard to get, but it got to $3.70 towards the finish, with bookies reaching for it. The reason being, Empress Millie at one stage, well, it only went up $4, but got out to $5.50, and it was into $4.60, but back out to $5.50. In the money was back from it opened up $8, got out to $10, back into $8. I've told you about Sastruga. Gibraltar's Gem was always liable. I gave $6. They killed you for $5.50 at one stage. I did give $6. It didn't have a price. I'm ready. 26 out to 41. Absolutely FEMA. It was 26 into about 18 at one stage, back out to 21. It was also back Bune from $26 into 18. The Fulminate never had a price, from 17 out to 26. Now the next runner, it was absolutely poleaxed, and this was one of the reasons why the captains, we had to reach for the favourite towards the end of betting. Talking about Panko, it settled down in last position, ridden by Catwalk Corey, and unfortunately that wasn't the place to be, and it didn't make up. It finished wide on the track, but it didn't make up a lot of ground. It was beaten about 5.6 lengths. And it went up at 12 to 1 chance, $13, and got out to $15. It did start $6. It was 14 to 1 into 5 to 1. And if you had up $6.50, the 11 to 2 towards the end of betting, the pros said, well, how much do you want on it? They put an absolute poultice on this. It was extremely well backed. And as I say, that was most probably the reason why the favourite got out towards the end of betting. The way the race was run, Empress Millie went straight for the lead, which was the expected pattern, and sitting behind it was Gibraltar's Gem, which you always knew was going to be up near the lead, and then the winner, Sastruga, who was announced early in the day, instead of being back at the tail of the field or near the tail of the field like it was at Hawkesbury last start, it was going to be ridden closer today, hopefully midfield. Well, they were a bit luckier than sitting midfield. Josh Parr was able to get it into third hole, looking at the leaders, and he had full control of this race after they'd gone about 3 furlongs. You would have liked to have got the 11 to 4 in the run. It was, I thought, in the run, the way they were positioned, it was always going to be hard to beat, even after they'd gone 2 or 3 furlongs. You don't get any prizes for that. Race 6. Now in this race there was 104.2 on the screen, only 100 in the marketplace, and this is the runner that I said that this runner came from the furthest back all day, Wearing Wings, who made up a good bit of ground at Kembla Grange last start with a young boy on it, I think. It came from third last, but never went around a run. It was travelling very easily coming to the turn. It was a matter of getting a split. You could see they were all under a good bit of pressure, and it was really travelling. And when he was able to get inside, runners turning for home, he found the line too strongly for Pizzero, who sat second, and also Zycosis, who was extremely hard to lay. Zycosis, although there was a bit of money for it late in the betting, it sat third on the fence, and the margins were 1 length by 1 length. And fluctuation-wise, well, it was a funny betting race. Bando, it went up $3.50 favourite. Bookies reached for it savagely, got out to $5.50, into $4.60, but then back out to $5.50, but back into $4.60. It was back twice by the pros. You could lay it at $4.40 at one stage for whatever you wanted. Loading, well, it was hard to lay. It went from $13 out to $17. Possesco, very well backed. They killed you for $4.60 and $4.40 at one stage. Went from $4 out to $4.60, back into $4.20, back out to $4.60. Top Glory never had a price. It went from 13 out to 19. And mind you, we only gave 100, so it wasn't any good. The next one was scratched. La Costa Nostra. Well, I had 500 on my board. It went from 100 to 1 out to 501. I didn't get one Oxford Scholar out of it. Zycosis went from 6 to 4 to 11 to 4, $2.50 out to $2.70, back into $3.60. So it wasn't really back, but you could lay it at $3.70, but there were no figures. Centre Desert, it went from $6 out to $7 into $5.50 at one stage, but got back out to $7 right towards the finish of betting. Wearing Wings, as I said, it was always firm, went up, only opened up at $13, got out to 15, which was taken, and it started 12. And the bottom one, Unforgivable, it was backed. It was a roughie, 50s out to 80s I gave. Someone had 80 lemons off me, and it only started at $26. It was extremely well backed. Only, as I say, there was only 100, and the winner was backed. Well, it all depends how you handle it. You could, if you dodged the winner, you won it. If you didn't dodge the winner, it was hard to win. Captain Cookie wise, race 7, there was 105.4 on the screen. In the marketplace, only 103, and this race was won by Ward, who was a solid win. Did get a good run, third on the fence. And the betting wise, I'll tell you very quickly, Volta Bolta went from $7 out to 12. Striding went from $5 out to $7.50. 8 might have been given into $6.50, extremely well back. Been a long road, the Avery, we put it up short odds, $1.60. If you gave $1.85, it was taken. They'd lay you the $1.85 on, but they wouldn't lay you the $1.80 one. They said, no, we won't lay you 5 to 4 on. Give us that extra little bit. Give us $1 in between the 10 to 9 on and the 5 to 4 on. We'll take your $1.85, but we won't take your $1.80. Had every possible chance, sat in the 1 out, 1 back position outside the winner. Coroner was backed, $13 out to 16, back into 12. Ward, at once, this is the runner that opened up $6, got out to $9, back into $7.50, well backed. Mr. Latar had a price at $61 and $51. Next one was scratched. Plugger didn't have a price, although, it didn't. $15 out to 19. The next runner was 50 out to 100, and the bottom one, ELAS, was 50 out to 400 to 1. Didn't strike it for an Oxford either. I know I might have got an Oxford out of it, or more than that. I might have got 10 Oxfords out of it. Oxford, the old Oxford scholars. Now, this race, as I say, was won by Ward. It got a charmer. When they turned for home, the obvious leader, Volta Bolta, had led from barrier 1. Sitting on its outside was Coroner, and when they turned for home, a bit along road, who was sitting in the 1-1 position, it moved up outside the 2 leaders, and then looking for a split was the winner, Ward. It shouldered its way clear, shouldered out, causing a bit of interference to Coroner, but it was gone at the time. And as I said before, Ward was too strong. Margins were 1.1 length by 1.8 lengths. Running third was Striding, as I said, was well in the market, 750 one stage into 650. Missed the kick, jumped awkwardly, and made up plenty of ground from second last down the outside into third hole. Then we came to the last, and one pro, he had a large plate here of the winner and the second horse. So I'd say that there's a good chance he wanted the protest upheld here, because he never stopped backing the winner, but he also backed the Avery as well. He only backed 2 runners in this race, and he had 2 and 3 large plates of each of them. talking about Inventive and Straturbo. We put it up $6 Inventive, but got it to $7 straight away. He how-muched everybody in the ground. It was into $5.50, took all the $5.50 into $4.60. We reached for it again, back out to $5.50. He said, how much again at the $5.50? And it was back into the $4.60, but got to $5 at the death. Had a lovely, nice play to it. And as I said, we all know what happened. It won on protest, which I think was an absolute moral to be upheld. Didn't have to be Einstein to work that out. The favourite, Straturbo, who was first past the post, it went straight to the lead. And the winner, winner on protest in Inventive, it sat on its outside. We put it up Straturbo 5-4, reached for it, got to $2.80, $2.25 out of $2.80, back into, well backed all the way in. They take you $2.50 for whatever you want, or even the $2.45, started $2.40. And when they turned for home, it was able to get clear Straturbo, and it went out after it. The winner in Inventive, the two New Zealand boys fighting it out, and it definitely came out under a bit of pressure, the favourite, and they only brushed, but it was, he took his running, and of course the margin being only a nose, it was quite obvious that the stewards did made the right decision in upholding the protest. The third favourite, it ran third in the race, and I'm talking about Goldbender, who was in fourth hole, chasing the two leaders who were running along at a good pace. It was fairly easy in the betting Goldbender. It went from $4 out to $6, back into $5.50. $6 was taken, but it had every chance. They got away. It ran third. It was beaten 2.4 lengths, and Columbia number 2, it ran fourth. It came from midfield along the fence. It went from about $9 or 12. No, it opened up $10 and out to $18. Columbia was backed at one stage, but got back out to $18 at the death. That was about the race. It was a hard race to escape in the last, if bookmaking wise, because the one of our biggest pros, if not the biggest pro, he had a large plate of first and second. He had it all tied up, and I don't know which way was his best way, but whichever way it was, I hope it was the best way, because he's a good man, and he keeps on backing up. And if we, even though we've got to try and beat the pros, unfortunately, if we take them away, or they don't play, the betting ring does become a little bit limited. So unfortunately, we have got to try and beat these fellas who are very clever at what they do, and good luck to them in the future. All right, that's about all I'd like to say, and we'll talk to you over the weekend. Good evening.